Welcome everyone to the very first Overtake monthly news roundup. My name is Rene, and if you think that is a boring and dull name, you're absolutely right. Leave us better suggestions in the comments, we really don't know how to name it just yet. But we bring you all the news all around racing and sim racing titles. So let's get started with the very first topic. First big news, obviously the Assetto Corsa Evo early access release. The story that dominated sim racing news in January is undoubtedly the first early access release of Assetto Corsa Evo. After slowly unveiling more information throughout December and early January, Kunos launched its highly anticipated title on January 16th in its first relatively rudimentary form. The early access launch did not go smoothly though, and it had to be expected of a release of this nature. Several tech issues that got resolved one after another got things on track fairly quickly, although the community also was not too pleased to learn that certain elements that are linked to the in-game economy and progression appear to require a permanent internet connection. Despite this, AC Evo drew a lot of attention and showed a lot of promise in its driving physics. The car customization that was made available offline while the game's server was still not up and running was also surprisingly in-depth, and we had a good amount of fun with the Driving Academy when it was up for a short time in order to test the server stability. Kunos also has revealed a roadmap, and that roadmap already confirming a new track in COTA along the way. Early access releases will be complemented by content drops that are set to happen in between the bigger updates. We're looking forward to finding out how the sim develops, especially once the first part of the Eiffel-based open world set around the Nürburgring releases in the summer. Sim Formula Europe 2025 and The Last Garage. Just like in 2024, sim racers did not have to wait long for their very first on-site event this year that they could attend. Sim Formula Europe opened its doors in Maastricht between January 16th and 19th, and while several exhibitors brought interesting hardware, such as SimLab's upcoming direct drive wheelbase, the star of the show was arguably Marcel Offermann's The Last Garage project. First unveiled a year earlier at the same event, The Last Garage was now the backbone of the on-site competition that provided a completely level playing field between community and professional drivers. No one could practice beforehand, and the track used in the Super Final was only announced shortly before it took place. The sim was also available for visitors to try, and Offermans received positive feedback on how The Last Garage handled. The former managing director of Studio 397 will also head to Sydney now, as his project will be used to run the E-Rock, the Race of Champions. The sim racing portion of the Race of Champions that is set to take place on 7th and 8th of March in the capital of New South Wales in Australia. Meanwhile, Sim Formula Europe founder and organizer Andy Marson was very happy with the event and the esports competition in particular, calling it the most honest competition we have seen. A well-attended seminar, Interclassics as SFE's partner event, as well as exciting giveaways that included the very Rick Devon Browner race to victory on the on-site competition, made for an excellent experience for visitors. For Overtake, it was definitely an early highlight of 2025, as we were present with our own booth and met plenty of our awesome community members. Thank you to everyone who stopped by. From the track to big cities, Tokyo Xtreme Racer's successful early access launch. Having laid dormant for over 18 years, save for a few mobile game releases, Tokyo Xtreme Racer is back following its January 23rd early access release on Steam. The arcade racer was received very well, peaking at almost 16,000 concurrent players over the weekend after its release. The addictive formula of the game, buying and improving cars to challenge numerous characters on the Shoto Expressway already works, but you can feel it's in early access. It can be bare bones at time, but for what it is, it's fairly polished. If you can't get enough of the Japanese car culture, there's another good news waiting for you in a moment. Track, city, all of that was on tarmac, so it's time to get dirty. EA Sports WRC release Le Maestros DLC. Just after the 2025 World Rally Championship season kicked off with Ogier winning the Monte for the 10th time, EA Sports and Codemasters released the Le Maestros DLC for EA Sports WRC, including 6 new cars and 12 new stages. Well, 1 for Monte Carlo and Portugal each, which traditionally got split up into shorter and reversed versions. Still, the DLC was a nice addition to the title, as the long versions of the stages are one-to-one recreations of their real-life counterparts. Especially the Citroën Sara kit car is fun to throw around on tarmac stages. While the pack is clearly aimed at celebrating the career of Sébastien Ogier and Sébastien Loeb, the latest name is suspiciously absent from any of the cars he drove. Perhaps the result of a licensing deal that might still be in effect with Milestone for 2016 Sébastien Loeb Rally Evo. We had a full review of the DLC pack earlier this week in case you're interested to see more. And we also have our very own Rally Club, link is in the description down below. From the virtual world to the physical world with our next news piece, Motorsport Story of the Month, the 2025 Daytona 24. While the motorsport year technically had already kicked off with the 24 Hours of Dubai 2 weeks earlier, the Daytona 24 marks the starting point of the season for many racing fans. One of IMSA's crown jewels, the event saw a 61-car grid of GTP and LMP2 prototypes plus GT3 machinery battle it out in the stadium-like setting of the iconic track. A thrilling race saw a final stint battle between the two remaining Porsche Penske Motorsport 963s and the Acura ARX-06 with Tom Blomqvist behind the wheel. And although the Briton gave it everything he had, he could only overtake the number 6 car, but Felipe Nasser in the number 7 brought home the victory for Penske. And it was an historic one too. The Daytona win meant that Nasser's teammate Nick Tandy is now the only racing driver in history to have won all 4 major 24-hour races on the calendar. That's the Nürburgring, Spa, Le Mans and Daytona. An outstanding achievement, and for that, we tip our caps to Nick. But January also had a few announcements. Automobilista 2, new content pretty much every month in 2025. For Razer Studios and Automobilista 2, 2024 was a big year. For most of it, the Brazilian studio kept very busy with the work on the milestone 1.6 update, which finally released in late November and elevated the Sims' regular player numbers. However, this has also meant that the rest of the year was rather scarce for updates. But that's not supposed to become a habit to continue into 2024, says Razer. Quite the contrary, actually. We have a lot of licenses that we scored last year, so you may expect 2025 to be more frantic in terms of pace for updates, Razer founder and lead developer Renato Simeone told Overtake. It's not going to be like last year. We had one big update and a couple of smaller ones, but we are going back to how it was in previous years. While Razer is working on additional features and fixes, Simeone also revealed that the studio is expanding to develop AMS2 further and add more content at an increased frequency. On the content side, pretty much every month you are going to have an influx of cars and tracks, Razer's lead dev revealed. Keep in mind that Razer has been carefully with giving deadlines in recent past, so the pretty much part is most likely key. So expecting new content every single month without fail might not be the best approach. And for all lovers of JDM content, Japanese Drift Master release date was finally confirmed. The arbitrary spring 2025 release time is now more concrete for Japanese Drift Master. Turns out that players will just have to wait for 2 more months, as the game will release on March 26, 2025 on PC via Steam. It will feature licensed cars from Mazda, Nissan and Subaru, with the potential for more being added. Recently, new locations that are set to be featured in the game had been revealed in a world teaser video for the game. These included spots for car meets or landmarks in the fictional Guntama region of Japan, which serves as the backdrop for the open-world drifting title. More of the map is visible in the latest trailer that was published alongside the release date, including gameplay footage that shows a variety of weather and lighting conditions. The game is already available to wishlist on Steam. With January in the books, let's get over to the February outlook. On February 5th, World of Outlaws Dirt Racing 24 Gold Edition will release on PC, after being console exclusive for a few months. iRacing presents the official game of the World of Outlaws, featuring the World of Outlaws Sprint Car, late models and Super Dirt Car Big Block modifieds, as well as 8 additional series including the all-new Micro Sprints. The World of Outlaws Dirt Racing 24 Gold Edition features 51 tracks, including all your favorites like Eldora Speedway, Knoxville Raceway and Volusia Speedway Park, with new additions like Kevin Harvick's Current Raceway, Millbridge Speedway, Oswego Speedway and Hassett Speedway. Emily reviewed the console version here on our channel in case you want to learn more about it. Of course, February also has something in store for you if you want to race yourself, especially if you're an iRacer. iRacers around the globe are getting ready for 2 cool special events. The Daytona 500 in the middle of February, an absolute highlight for NASCAR fans like me, and obviously the Bathurst 12 Hours around February 23rd. If you prefer to read the newsflash yourself, obviously head over to overtake.gg. Additionally, you can also get our premium membership for just €1 a month if you go for an entire year, which gets you ad-free, race clubs and many other perks that make your sim racing life easier. All of that on overtake.gg. As this was our very first news show, obviously feel free to put any comments about feedback, suggestions or whatever down in our comment section below, and we will return with it in February with the next big update. My name is Renee and I see you guys there.